Well, I had my final run of the season, and now I'm just doing some tube cleaning prior to getting the engine ready for the storage over winter. I always like to clean the tubes. You don't have to do it every time, but it does help. It stops a build up and improves the flow of heat through the tubes. If you don't clean your tubes regularly and it builds up, it can cause problems. So it's always best to really get your tubes clean. Now this is a fairly straightforward job. I just have a wire brush on the end of this piece of rod and just push backwards and forwards, and it seems to get most of the ash and soot and whatever's built up in the tubes. Just trying to knock the camera over there. It's just a matter of doing each one, and then when it's done, I just get the hoover attachment and hoover out all the ash and bits and pieces from the smokebox floor. Now you don't want a wire brush that's too easy in the tube, because it'll not clean them properly. You need a brush that's reasonably stiff, and this one I'm using just about right, and also a decent flexible rod is what you need. If you have the rod too thin, it's going to bend all over the place, and you'll have problems. Well, that's all the tubes nicely cleaned out. Oh, I've missed one there. I'll get that done, and then I'll just give the tube plate a brush down, get rid of all the soot that's built up, and then I shall get my vacuum and just vacuum all the ash and soot from the bottom of the smoke box. Don't want to leave that in over winter. If you get any damp there, it's not going to do the smoke box any good, especially if it's a steel one like mine. Before you know it, there'll be corrosion and holes appearing.
I also do it on the firebox, and it just gets most of the char off.
Well, that's the smoke box nicely cleaned out. There's no ash or debris lying about. I'm just now cleaning the firebox tube plate of build up of ash and soot. I always do this anyway when I've had a run with the Loco, but more important now with storing it over the winter. The firebox sides also will be brushed. Now, after cleaning out the tubes and cleaning the smoke box, I'm just giving the valve gear a wipe down, getting all the grit off and dust. It's not too bad actually. What I usually do when I've finished running anyway up at the track, I just give it a quick wipe with a cloth. But what I'm doing now is just making sure that everything is cleaned off, and then I shall just oil around it, because if I'm storing it for winter, I'll oil everything up. I suppose it's not really necessary being in storage under cover, but that's what I like to do. I've always done this, and I find it always pays off in the end. Just a quick oil round. It isn't really necessary, as I just mentioned.
surroundings with you in the pub. Yeah. You know what I mean? You wouldn't elevate. But this isn't a joke. This isn't one of those. No, I know. Yeah, this is nerves. But also nerves. But also.
Now another thing I like to do when I've had a run with the Loco is to get some oil into the steam chest and cylinders. I know it gets plenty of oil with the lubricator, and it's pretty good with mechanical lubricator, but I still like to get some oil down into the cylinder, stop my piston rings from rusting up. Now this little plug what I have on top is only temporary, and it's for a snifting valve which will be fitted later. I've already done the other side. I've cleaned down the valve gear and done the oiling as I'm doing now, but I just like to get some oil in and then I'll get the plug back in. Now I also have a small removable plug on the front cylinder covers, and I do the same thing with this. I just inject a small amount of oil into the cylinder bore. Again, it's probably unnecessary and over the top, but if I'm going to be storing it over the winter, I still like to do this, and it gets rid of any water that might be lodging in the cylinder. It's just a small hexagon screwed plug really, and it does the job. But I do make sure that the piston is on back dead centre, so at least I can get a good amount of oil into the cylinder. And then what I do is just move Loco up and down a little bit so the oil's forced out of the cylinder drain cocks, and at least then I know it's got through okay. There's plenty of oil getting through, and I just then close up the drain cocks, and that's that sorted out. Now another important thing I need to do is to take out all the washout plugs, so to enable the air to circulate through the boiler, and the safety valves will be removed also. Now I made a special socket for these square-headed washout plugs. It's just a simple adapter really to fit the ratchet. Now there's an awkward spot on my engine. It's where the reverser stand fits, and one of the washout plugs is just behind the reverser stand. So of course there's an access hole there to enable me to get at the washout plug. Now this washout plug's got a hole in it. This don't go in the engine. This was for a special job I was doing. But it's squared out is this to fit these washout plugs. Now when I use it with the extension, I can get at the washout plug where the reverse stand is. Otherwise it's awkward. You can't get at it. Now the rest of the plugs are very easy to get out. They're easily got access to, except the one which is down on the front of the between the frames, and that is very awkward to get to, and I don't normally take that one out. I just leave that one because it's just nearly impossible to get between the frames unless I get underneath. I really could do with making some kind of a special adapter to get at that, but normally I just leave that. There's the assembly there what I use, extension there. Now there's approximately 5 of the plugs to be removed altogether. Now I'm just using the extension as I've just described, and I've got access through the reverser stand there to get at this plug. Awkward otherwise, as you can see. And there we have the first plug removed. Now this is the second one on this same side. This is a little bit awkward as well to get at because of the injector water pipes. There's just one on the other side because there's the blow down valve that occupies the other washout plug hole. There is one on the front firebox at the front bottom end, but that's very awkward to get to, and I don't normally take that out. There's one also under the footplate which is very easy to get to, and that's all also taken out. But that's them all really. Now I'm on the other side of the engine and taking the single washout plug out here. There on the left is the blow down valve, which is left in. Don't touch that. And this comes out quite easily. Now, as I mentioned, the other washout plug is between the frames, the lower part of the outer firebox, and it's very awkward to get to. I've got to get between the frames somehow with an extended wrench, but so I don't normally bother. I just leave it, and I don't think it makes all that much difference. I have had it out before, but normally I just don't bother with it. It's too much effort. Now the last washout plug is under the footplate in here, and I just move the damper lever, just pull it up, and the plate comes loose, and I just lift it out, and then get the wrench on the plug like the others, and out it comes. This is probably the easiest one to get out. Just a few strokes of the wrench and it's loose and comes out. Fairly quick, and out it comes. Of course the safety valves are taken out as well, and other fittings on the dome to allow the air to circulate through. There you can see where the safety valves have been removed, and the fill-in plug. The whistle will be coming off next, and this just allows air circulation instead of being all closed up. Now there is a drain valve which empties the water out of both tanks, but it always does leave a small amount left in, and I like to really get this out if I'm stored in the Loco for any length of time. So what I normally do is use my wet and dry vacuum cleaner, and this sucks most of, well, all of the water out, just leaves a damp patch really. I've used this method all the time, and it works quite well. Now these side tanks are made of ordinary mild steel. It doesn't matter if they're made of brass or anything like that, so if you've got brass tanks or tanks made of stainless steel or other metal that don't rust, you're okay. But I use this attachment to get into the far corners of the tank, and it's quite effective. It does get it all out. Probably over the top, as I said before, but it's just my way of doing it, and I've done this for years on my Locos. The inside of the tanks are coated with a compound I use, and they're probably okay if I left them full of water, but it's just what I like to do. Well, that's got rid of the water. It's just dampness in there now. Well, cleaning down the Loco, I just get the worst off. Well, the next job I like to do is get the Loco cleaned down, get all the dust off and grit. I usually do the front end here with just a paraffin rag, and then I lightly dust off the main part of the engine, the tanks and the boiler. It's mainly dust which accumulated from when I dropped the fire grate. It was a bit of a breeze blowing, so everything were covered in fine ash. Got to be careful really cleaning, you don't want to be scratching your paintwork. Ideally it wants to be blown off, but I'm not keen on blowing off in my workshop, blowing dust everywhere, so I'll just use a bit of care and get the dust off. And what I usually do then is to get some WD-40 and spray it all over the paintwork, give it a gentle clean. Find WD-40 is pretty good really for cleaning down. All the Locos I've had, I always clean them down after a run. I just find it a lot better when you come to take them out again. Some people don't bother, they just leave them to age, which is fair enough. They look more realistic when you see them with priming marks and all sorts of stains on them and bits of rust, what have you. I say some people just don't bother, but I'm the opposite. Although when you see Locos running on the main line, the preserved Locos, they're always nicely polished up and look immaculate, but in real life they weren't often polished up to that extent. They were always covered in priming stains and rust and thick oil and grease everywhere, especially in the later days of the British Railways in 1968, when they were withdrawing them all. Some of them were in a right state. Absolutely shameful the way they left them, but that's the way it is. And when I've finished with WD-40, when it's dried off, I always wax over the Loco then with some wax I have, which I've used for years, and that leaves a good finish and acts as a water repellent as well. And just a quick spray on the side of the tank, as I've done on the other side, and a quick wipe over, and that will do. Never seems to get really dirty outside tanks. And now get the cab roof cleaned over. This is the area where it catches most. It's usually covered in fine ash. Well, I'll just now give the footplate a wipe down. This is the plate which I take off to get to access to the washout plug on the foundation ring there. I just push it back and move the damper lever so it fits snugly back, and then just wipe down the rest of the back head and foot plating. A bit there with a damp cloth. Just use a lightly soaked rag with some paraffin on to get the grease off the plating, especially on the right hand side where the oil box is. I always get a bit of oil dripping down onto the plating, so I like to get that cleaned off. And just give it another wipe down on the cladding on the firebox end there. Just make sure that the steam valves are open and not tightly shut. There's always a possibility that being stood for a while they could actually seize. Give the rest of the back head there, foot plating rather, a wipe down. Protected rather. And clean the gauge glasses. And that really is just about it. Well, I hope you found this video of interest and showing how I prepare my Loco for storage over the winter. It might be useful to someone who's just starting out in running a steam Loco, and it'll give you an idea how to prepare your engine for storage over the coming months. Well, I'd just like to take this opportunity to wish all my subscribers and everyone else Happy Christmas and all the best for the coming new year, and thank you all for watching.